Okay, Kathy's starting the recording and we are going to get going on the meeting. There may be a few other people joining us later. So I will call this regular meeting of October 9th, 2024 of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:02 p.m. Please join me in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which is a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, so public input, no public, so no correspondence. And as I said, one person I know that's going to be here soon is Dr. Carver. She said she was going to be here in person. She's on her way here from a meeting at Johnson School, so I'll let you know when she's here, if she's sitting somewhere that's not on screen. And a couple other people said they were coming and they're not here, so maybe they'll still show up. See? So we'll start with our minutes. I will make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes of September 25th, 2024. Need a second? Roy seconds it. Does anybody have any questions about the minutes, changes, updates, corrections? I think everything looks fine. We're all good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. So training range. Just a couple of updates, and then we've got a couple things we have to deal with. So I had been asking the building department about the status of the CO. Had the temporary CO in place, we just had not gotten the paperwork for the permanent CO. And finally, I got some back and forth with Chris Baldwin. I think it was partly, there was a couple things going on. John Mente's here. Come join us, John Mente. A couple things. So because there were two permits pulled, one from Downs, one for Action Target, there had to be two COs. So I reminded him that he made sure all that paperwork was in place. And so long story short, we now have our COs. And that's a good thing. I just wanted to be able to have that paperwork in place so that we could continue to do final payments to people. At this point, we only owe money to Action Target, their final payment, ESC, and I haven't gotten a bill from them yet, and CES. CES won't be billing us until they finish their whole 4-season check of the systems. So what's going on with that right now is they're ready to do this season, but they still haven't gotten connected remotely to the system. And rather than dragging them all the way down here, that's being worked out with IT and whoever else needs to be a part of it. So that's being done. And I know David Horvath and Michael are working on figuring out the whole thing with the MAU, being able to have it run automatically to whatever set points we put in place. And at least David's been trying to get over there to meet up with somebody to go in and check out where the sensors are, et cetera. And that they've been back and forth of who's where and who's on first and all that. So David, I don't know if you have anything else you want to throw in with that.
Yeah, so that's more on me than on anyone else. I just got really crazy with work. And when Lieutenant Libertini was on this week, he was only working until 3:00, so I couldn't get out. I've been in touch with him today via email, and he said he will be there evenings all next week. So I asked him to send me some dates and times that would work best for him, and I will gladly go and do it. Mike, I can FaceTime you if you don't want to stick around until 5 or 6 o'clock at night. I'll gladly FaceTime you from there or something like that. So you're not, I'm not sure where you live, but you don't have to sit around town for hours.
I would appreciate that since I live in Madison.
Oh, that's all.
You live in Madison?
Yeah.
I grew up in Madison.
Oh, there you go.
Old home week.
All right, so once you get that in place, then we'll know more of what we have to do as far as having that unit run. I know it's the email that I saw from CES asking to get the remote access so that they could do this seasonal check with the commissioning. Lieutenant Libertini replied, "Everything's running fine." Well, of course it is, but they need to, it was good to hear that everything's running fine. But they need to be able to access it so they can do the rest of their seasonal checks throughout the year.
Mhm.
And then at our next meeting, hopefully David and Michael will have more for us on what we need to do to have that unit run, especially as the cold weather is approaching. We don't want to take any chances. So is there anything else on that? You
So
have?
I just want to make sure, is somebody working with IT to make sure that they're getting back to CES? Because talking to Alan from CES, he was having a little bit of trouble trying to get access, or there's a lot of back and forth emails. I guess either A, can somebody follow up with IT, or I can, or just to say, listen, do we need to have a video chat? What do we got to do to get them access? It
Okay.
seems like there's a lot of emails, and sometimes you just gotta get on the phone or meet face to face just to cut through the email stuff, right? And just get it done at this point. So for everybody's knowledge, from what I'm looking at and looking at, so Dave and I want to look at the sensors. Obviously, want to know where the sensors are and located. Dave has a relationship with an ION rep, so we'll verify sensors physically and so on and so forth. But it does look like Action Target, was to provide the town the ability to tie into the MAU via the Honeywell system to monitor critical alarms. But besides that, it sounds like there is access. There's just a firewall in the way. So working with CES and looking at what, they're obviously going via IP address. So how are you guys, remotely connecting to this system? And then what portal are you using? Is it Action Target software? Is it, Honeywell software? Because it sounds like there's access available. I just don't know what the software is. And then if that's the case, then we should have the ability to manipulate those set points and or customize notifications for alarms and so on and so forth.
You don't mind me.
Oh, go ahead. Kathy's got a little info on that.
Or we have to have our building maintainers have access
Right.
as well.
Yes.
And we had to work it out with ESC does two functions at the PD for us. They do HVAC, but they also do the controls. And so with we had to go through ESC to help us get that access. And the PD has a separate IT office than the one here in town. So I have a contact there. I can try to
Okay.
reach out to him tomorrow to ask him if he could, step in and try to get this going.
Yeah, because it was something that we had to do when we finished the main building back whenever they were finishing up the commissioning, 2018, 2017. And it took a little bit of talking with the police department and their IT people to allow the remote access because of security.
Mhm.
And explaining that it's a one-time thing, it's done. They're not going to be wandering into the system periodically. It's just whenever the commissioning is completed, they're done with it. They let it go. So the security would be intact. So Kathy, maybe can you do a phone call, email?
I'll reach out to my contact at
Okay.
ESC and I'll let him know that they've been working on this and
Yeah.
something to get in touch. I mean, it might not even be him, but
But he can let you know
there's a good
who.
chance it is him.
Right. Because that whole long email thread that I had started a while back, including a lot of people, so that instead of emailing 5 different people, everybody was there answering questions. That was last week when Alan from CES said, we're trying to do our seasonal check. We have not gotten remote access yet. So We gotta figure that out. So, if
Which is great. I mean, it sounds like everything's hardwired and everything's there. It's just a matter of security protocols, which is fine. I just, again, I wanted to make sure prior, to finding out some of this knowledge that, all the controls were in place that needed to be in place, remote access was available, and it sounds like that is the case, which is a good sign. So it's really just looking at these sensors, physical locations, and then, Dave and I will make sure that that's correct and then take it from there.
okay, and then at our last meeting, John Perna was asking about, as we were discussing this, putting this in place as far as getting, not the remote access part, but having the makeup area unit run automatically to set points rather than an alarm goes out, somebody runs in there and turns it on and then turns it back off. John Perna brought up the whole warranty thing and who was it with, when did it start, et cetera, et cetera. All that paperwork was given to the police department, and I think I sent out attachments with all that information, all the closeout documents, operation manuals, all that to David and Michael and whoever
So
else.
Downs had O&Ms, but Action Target, I haven't seen their closeout package or O&M, so that they might have just given physical copies and it weren't available for PDFs because I went through every single one of them. So yeah, I mean, the other thing is to manipulate set points shouldn't be a big deal. This system runs off, and you guys might already know this, right? It's certain negative pressure and, certain things and environmental factors to make sure that it's a safe environment for shooting a gun, right? So knowing what those parameters are exactly, and then making sure that we have automated functions, and then obviously facilities is getting pinged, when situations are happening instead of a police officer turning a unit off and on, when it could very well put the system in danger or them in danger, right? So want to make sure that we understand, all that information and so on and so forth. But we should be able to remotely manipulate set points that are within the parameters of the systems and its design.
Okay, so I can see if there were electronic copies of, there were reports that Action Target sent out.
Yeah, they had startup reports, but they have to have and I've seen some submittals, but just an email saying, hey, did you guys provide closeout documents, operation and maintenance manuals, so on and so forth.
Which they, like you said, they may have done that.
Yeah, they may have given them a binder to have on site, typical.
I got an Aon O&M manual. I'll send you that if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think I saw that. I didn't see anything on the controls or they provide, I think, an iPad and a desktop with software.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to know how their system's controlled.
Right.
Do updates have to happen with regards to any patches with their software? And IT should know a lot of this information if they don't already have it, for security protocols.
Right, and so they may have, I'm not seeing any attachments within the past 6 months, at least, that have anything like that. So they may have, when they did their actual training, their physical in-person training with the police department, Action Target, they may have left physical documents. So we're gonna have to ask about that. So, I'll check with Lieutenant Libertini, and I'll include you to see what he has and what's available. If they receive them electronically, but it didn't come through us, then they can just send that to you. Or if it's paper stuff, you might have to have him look for something that's specific that you need.
Yeah, when Dave's on site, and if they just have paper, then
Yeah.
again, we can look at that stuff.
Okay. Okay. So the only other thing we have, and we decided to wait on this, is the invoice from Action Target. Now that we have the CO, I think it's fine to go ahead and complete this. As I mentioned, I'm gonna buy in, I can screen share, right, or whatever it's called. What's it called?
Co-host,
No, I mean,
share.
raise your hand, present.
It's the one with the arrow.
The one with the arrow. I don't want that. And
This one?
Yeah.
See the one?
yeah, I am going to. Trying to find it so that when I say present, it'll show it, because it seems to be different than when you do it on Zoom. There. Right now I gotta go back here. No, didn't do it.
Stop liking you, Nancy.
Yeah, I know. Need help. I'm not sure
You don't mind looking.
how to pick the thing that I have open here, which is there. So if I go back to here,
Yeah, you need to go to Windows.
there it is.
Yep.
Oh, now I have to say share.
Yeah.
I don't do this enough too. So. So this is, I don't know if I can make it bigger. Let me see. Oh, there's the plus or minus thingies. Oops, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
I can make things bigger by touching my screen, but, well, basically this is kind of what Action Target finally started giving us for an invoice. And, I sent this out, I sent it out for the last meeting. And basically it says that we owe them $83,900 or $790.43. The next page, let me see if I can get down to the next page.
You have to do it on the actual document. So you have to click to the document.
Let's see.
And if you move it on that, it should go up there. Yeah, see.
A little bit further. Oops, not that far. So this, if I can, back here. How do I get rid of can you get rid of all our little things to make it bigger?
These guys?
Yeah, there's a little thing that says,
It's Nancy's screen now.
oh, true.
Oh,
You could,
She has to do it.
yeah.
Do they have it? You guys have it.
I saw it. Yeah, I got,
So
Well, if you saw it, then we
I have
don't need to make it
Yeah.
bigger. So
I have it in front of me.
basically they'd have three change orders listed, only two of them that were brought to us and approved by us. And the one which is $4,900 never said anything to us, never. So my suggestion is, and I'm gonna make a motion and we'll discuss it, is that we approve application for payment from Action Target Does it have a number? Just application number 4 dated August 31st, 2024. And that we approve the amount of $78,862.93. I've handwritten this in, which is what'll go to finance. And then I also have a letter, which I sent around to everyone. I'm not sure if did you see it? Okay. And I need to change the date on it. I will change it to today. That basically explains why we're sending them the amount that we're sending. I also had sent this around to Dan, Melanie, Brad, Chief Pugner. So they all know. Nobody said don't do it or whatever. So if Action Target wants to come back to us with the change order, we can discuss it.
Can
Have
you
the money
say
in the budget.
in the motion minus change order number, whatever?
Yeah, it wasn't a change order number.
Dollar
So
amount.
minus change order
But they didn't give you one.
for
Yeah, it's
Um,
actually said.
additional
I-
offload for materials. It says, it says item number
Item
7
yeah.
on the application for payment in the amount of $4,927.50. They called it additional offload for materials, which I don't get that because the credit is also additional offload for materials. And that's basically a credit for them screwing around with the sprinkler system and having to pay extra money to have it retested.
I didn't call it a change order. I call it minus item number 7.
Okay,
It's not
that's
technically
fine.
change.
Yeah. Yep. So does anybody you looked at this, you looked at the letter, do you have anything in that I ought to add to the letter?
It is, you CC this, you said Melanie, Dan. and
Yeah,
Brad.
so I already sent it around
Yeah, it's-
as a draft in an email. But I'm also CCing them in the letter. Dan, Melanie, STV, so Mark Dupre, Brad, and Chief Pugner. Anybody else who think? I don't think.
Yeah.
To do, all right. And I think my explanation is pretty clear.
it's on the short side.
Okay. If they want to. I don't think it would cause any problems with their ongoing relationship with the police department. That's the only thing I had concerned, but I didn't get anything from Chief Pugner, so
Let's move
I
on.
think we're good. All right. So I have that motion. I need someone to
I'll
second
second
it.
it.
John seconds it. Now we're kind of all finished discussing it. If there's any more discussion
before
or
the
any other
horse.
questions that anybody has about the whole thing. We're good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody opposed and nobody abstains or opposes. That's a good thing. All right. So I have to bring this to you tomorrow because I have to redo it with the date and all that. So I'll bring it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And then you're going to give the whole package to finance and I'll write something along with it. So they get the reason. Again, I sent it to Brad. I didn't get anything back from him saying, oh, that's going to be a problem. So I think it'll be fine. So in paying this amount to Action Target, I had gotten another spreadsheet from finance on where we are with payments to date. And looking at that payment, but we also have outstanding to CES and ESC. We're still going to have between 3,000 and 4,000. 3,000, 4,000 left. So we still have a little bit. Let's hope we don't have to spend it. Right. So-
Thanks.
I have to check, I'll do some kind of updated budget report for the next meeting, because there was a network synergy charge, which was above the amount that we had approved. And it didn't come through us. It went through PD and then to finance, and I said it shouldn't have been approved and might be about $500, but I'm sure it was something that had to be done. So I'll check on that and then do an updated budget sheet. Anything else on the range that anybody needs to bring up or look at? I don't think I have anything left over. from any other meetings where I made notes of things that we need to do, so. Hopefully we'll get some more info next time from Dave or Beth and Michael. So let me, get rid of this. We don't need to. There's one other thing. I was gonna put the letter up, but yeah, the budget spreadsheet, I'll update that. And next time we'll be able to look at it. Okay, we don't need that. Yeah, it's like about $4,000. All right, moving on. Back here. Next is Johnson and Rockwell School, and Dr. Carver has joined us. You want to come up here and just so everybody can see you? We have some things going on that, well, the audit is still in process. I don't know if you have anything new on that.
No,
So-
I emailed again today to see kind of where we are, and I haven't gotten a response yet.
Okay,
Do you want me to just jump into the?
so there's something going on at Johnson that we're gonna need to be keeping an eye on.
Right.
And Dr. Carter called me to tell me about it, and then I've gotten some emails, and so,
Yeah, so ESC, who's their mechanical contractor, did an inspection of the, in regular maintenance right before school started. And in a couple weeks into September, so we were kind of upset with them that they waited that long to tell us. That we got the report, and there was concern that there were gas leaks on the top of Johnson School at where the I want to apologize because I know I don't have the right words all the time, but where the pipings connect to the actual units.
okay.
And so Tyler freaked out. I said, let's get Tom Gallagher. We're going to go up to the roof. We're going to see what's going on. So we did. And I have pictures on my phone, but I can't get on the internet with my computer to show you.
Let me see if
Basically,
I
it
can-
was an issue with where the threading was. The sealant on the threads had deteriorated, and that was what was causing they believe the leaks. So we had scheduled to fix it actually on Rosh Hashanah, which was on last Thursday. Because we had no school. Yes.
No, I was good, just making noise.
Okay, we had no school, so we had scheduled to do it on that Thursday. The Saturday night before we had the scheduled fix, in the middle of the night, the alarm went off at Johnson in the boiler room, also with a natural gas leak. So in addition to what was happening on the roof, there was also some leaks in the boiler room itself. So we had to send out crews on Sunday. The fire department responded. The crews came out on Sunday, and Connecticut Combustion and ESC came out to make the fixes that we needed to just get the schools operationalized so that we could open up school on Monday. But as part of the repairs, Connecticut Combustion and said that we had to replace some of the piping that went into the boilers. I guess it's like a 4-foot pipe that actually leads right into the boilers because there had been some deterioration on there. So in addition to the threading issue,
Where you going?
that there was something directly with the boiler. So we were able to get online for school for Monday, but they couldn't rehook up the heat. There was a valve too that was faulty. They had to replace. They have subsequently made,
That's one of them.
that's one of them. And there's 4 or 5 pictures that Nancy has of some of the leaks. The bottom line is we are in the process of making all the repairs. Much of it happened last week because we weren't in school. I talked to Dan and Brad at the time because it was an emergency and we were paying top dollar because everybody was coming out on Sunday. In fact, Eversource had to come out and then bring up the systems again. What they said is that, and listen, I'm making this sound worse than it is. I think the total expenses are probably I asked Tyler today, Nancy, what he thought. He thinks they're going to be about $15,000 with what needed to be fixed. and so we just proceeded with the fixing because we had to, because we had to get school in session. And in the meantime, in both Dan and Brad said, because the project is still open and because there's still money in the project, that we could submit the invoices through public site to be paid. Which is great because we didn't have the budget for it. Nancy and I talked a little bit about, should we pursue, is there any pursuing about installation or faulty work or any aspect of the project that might have not been done properly? We looked at the warranties, which expired a year from the date. So they're gone. The warranties are never gone. So Jen and I met with Geraldine. We had a call with Geraldine and we talked about whether or not there's any pursuit of any legal issues. Tyler suspects that some of the actual materials that they use.
That's not right color.
Yes, that's what he said.
It's supposed to
That's
be
what
blue,
he-
that's white.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
So it's the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
I
if they
don't
got it
know.
from a different manufacturer, I'm not.
True,
putting
yeah,
fingers.
no.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Yeah.
typically it's blue.
that's exactly what he said. Dave.
That's what it's not.
So if it's supposed to be glue and they didn't.
No, not blue, it's supposed to be
Blue.
blue.
Oh, blue, I'm sorry,
Blue
yeah,
color,
there's
yeah.
a blue tape and there's
White
white.
Duralock is.
No,
So
that
Yeah.
Chris, yeah.
But how did,
I mean, but like I said, they could have gotten it from, I don't,
Chris Baldwin
I
went
can't
out
tell from the
and
picture.
looked at it too with him. Our conversation with Geraldine is, look, do we have any recourse to try to recoup any money from Action Air? Because I think they did it at Johnson.
I don't remember who was at what school. I'd have to look in all the.
They had
That was my
different
next
contractors.
question.
Yes,
That's
both
what I-
the two schools had different
They did.
contractors, yes.
One was Action Air and I don't remember what the other one was. But when we talked to Geraldine and then I subsequently talked to both Nancy and Dan, she thought if you're going to bring out a forensic engineer to look at all of the issues,
How
look at
much are you gonna spend?
how much are you going to
Yeah.
spend between that and legal fees? When they might say, well, it was a different manufacturer or it was a bad batch or
the gas is usually.
can I call you?
yeah. So they didn't feel like it was worth pursuing. I mean, Geraldine definitely think, I mean, if it was like a $50,000 job
Yeah,
or a $100,000 job, it might have been more. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a long story to tell you two things. They're getting repaired.
Yeah.
And you're going to get the invoices.
Yeah.
So
But I
the other
think-
question is, are there other spots where this can happen?
Well, so they're going to repair all of them.
Okay.
All of them on. There's not one problem at Rockwell.
So,
They went up and inspected. Yes,
Yeah.
Dave.
Go ahead, David.
Paul Johnson.
so they have to take a joint, clean it, put the correct Teflon tape on and use the correct pipe dope and put it back together.
Yes.
So that means shutting off the gas for extended periods of time, bleeding air and going through and restarting everything. That's gonna add up to be quite a few dollars.
It is. I mean, we think it's going to be at least like between 10 to 15,000.
Minimum.
Yeah. I mean, they've already made some of the repairs, Dave.
Okay.
ESC and Connecticut Combustion are making the repairs. But if it's more, I'll let you know. But when I talked to Tyler today, he's still waiting for a couple of invoices.
Yeah, I still would say document as much.
We are.
Just in case.
How
Yeah.
long ago is this? Only something new at all? Like, how long ago was this?
We
put in?
commissioned that building in 2022?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
only
This
2
isn't
years.
old.
This isn't old.
Right. But
So
the
that
warranty is
valve
only
was
1
really
year.
bad.
I recognize that. The one item that concerns me though is that if this continues on and now we have multiple others, I really think we should be talking to the original installer.
Yeah.
Now.
Would it be
And
worth a
setting
letter?
a tone now,
I-
because,
And I think you bring
You
it
know,
to
Yeah,
their,
we should make them aware of it.
we
this
bring it
could
to their
be,
attention.
whether you,
And Dan and I were talking, do we do it to the original installer or Rizzo? Because they were the contractor that oversaw
yeah, I
this.
guess. there's
True, I
risk
think
of-
you do both.
Yeah.
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 Rizzo is the one.
So, so when these guys install pipe, because Dad was a plumber, right? So they install pipe and they have to run tests, and then they have to call the building official
Yep.
to come in, and then they have a report, provide the report to, I suspect, Rizzo, and things like that. So it's kind of, I wish I saw one that was taken apart, So we usually use pipe dope, which is gas rated, and we use for screw pipe for gas screw pipe, and we use Teflon tape that's usually gas rated, right? So again, you do a forensic analysis. I think they have a typical 1 year Craftsman warranty,
They did.
which that's obviously gone. And then, I mean, you'd have to put this stuff under a microscope. And you're not going to, I don't think you're going to get anything out of Rizzo or any of these guys.
And Mike, Geraldine said the same thing, and she said that, that it went through the inspection, it did all that.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate.
The entire building.
I'm not saying, Roy, that we shouldn't make them known about it. I'm just saying, because Dan and I both agree about that.
I can understand one or two
Right.
joints going. I mean,
Yeah. No, it was 7 units.
That's,
Yeah,
so
there's
then,
only 11 on there.
Yeah,
So it was only at the units. It wasn't at the other connection points or unions, because there's
No.
probably a bunch of unions on the roof.
that inside, isn't that inside
It was
the
a valve.
bubbles?
Yep. There
So
was.
So the other thing that I suspect too is that if the units, depending on when they were installed, meaning if they had to reset a unit, take the pipes apart, didn't re-pipe dope it or didn't re-clean it, it suspects that something, once this stuff is set and screwed tight, you leave it alone, right? You don't touch it, blah, blah, blah. If somebody had to take off the pipe, reset a unit, or I don't know, I'm just thinking outside of the box. But I do think it's worth having a company go in, popping ceiling tiles and checking the other connections and stuff,
Well, so that was gonna be my thing is, how did our town inspector not pick this up?
Well, that was part of the conversation that we had.
Can I just ask,
Yeah.
has there been service to these 7 units?
Yes.
Has somebody else touched them after they were inspected
Yeah, but it's blue Teflon.
to do something?
You're using blue Teflon tape, which is gas rated,
Yeah.
just like with PVC cement, right? You use different colors for different things. And your town official would hopefully know that. I mean, I've been doing it for 40 years.
I'm saying, but after the fact, the town official's not going up and inspecting after a repair was made.
No, not the repair.
That's like, something like that's taken apart, it's not clean,
No, I don't.
and they put something back on and
Yeah.
connect it. And
No, I don't think that happened.
I'm talking about the original inspection. The inspector came out originally when we were after we commissioned the building. He came out, inspected it, and gave us our C of O.
Yes.
But, okay, go ahead, David.
That's all I'm saying is, how did he not originally, not now, but originally not see the blue Teflon tape with the proper pipe dope and it, to check it out? Like that's, and
So
We could,
my question would be, because of so many things that happened sort of out of sequence on both schools, on the roof, everywhere else, we had to do with the roof in sections and moving things around and,
Right.
are you talking about Johnson?
I'm talking about, I can't remember which one, but
Right.
in both of them where
Rockwell was the big one.
roofers were moving
Yeah.
stuff and
Yeah.
taking pipe supports out of the way and the pipes were like sagging and
That was Rockwell.
That was Rockwell.
that was Rockwell.
Rockwell,
Okay.
yeah.
I documented all that.
Yeah, that was Rockwell. You're right, Dave. But I mean, my last conversation with Dan this afternoon was that we should call Rizzo,
Yes.
put something in writing to them
I
Yes.
agree.
to document. it.
Yes.
I,
Can't hurt.
Yeah, it won't. So I will definitely do that.
We had something probably smaller happen at the police station after the fact. And, Jakunski Humes sent me a page of the plans that said this was supposed to be installed. And Downs was on that. Downs sent out the people to remember they were getting the hammer noise and every time plumbing was used, but nobody heard it because it was in the basement. Nobody ever went to the basement.
Yeah.
They were supposed to do arresters in a certain area and they never put them in. They sent the plumber out to put the arresters in. We didn't get charged.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, I'll try.
I think we let them know just so that,
Yeah.
yeah,
just in case other things start to come up. I mean, my concern was, I didn't realize that,
There were valves too. It was two things.
yeah, well, so these valves here, where you see the bubbles, and
Yeah.
that's
That's all
inside,
bubbles,
isn't it?
Yeah.
that's the spray.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that looks like it's inside.
So
And-
to
That's what set off the alarm.
Yeah, okay.
Michael's point, I would have them poke out some ceiling tile, or whoever said it, poke some ceiling tiles and check joints in the ceiling as well, because while it might be a finite amount of gas over time, God only knows, kids and jet, that crap. You don't want to go down that.
I will mention that to Tyler, Dave. I think he did. And I think he's very conscientious. And I think he did it with kinetic combustion also. But I will double check that.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So that's the fun at Johnson.
Any more good news for us?
I gotta take this.
Everything else is fine. Our science and math scores are up.
Wow.
A lot. But we're not here to
So-
talk about that.
Yeah, let's see.
Football team's doing great.
I know. First time in like 10 years.
So,
I think that's it for Johnson and Rockwell.
yeah, and so Tyler did send me,
You could forward that to everybody.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
It's an email description with what he saw and what Chris Baldwin's take on things were and what kinetic combustion. So I asked him to send me an email summarizing the issues.
So I'll forward that to everyone. And I also did get a couple invoices from Tyler just this afternoon, so we're not gonna do those tonight just because they didn't get sent around. And one for 2,100 and another one for Mhm. 4,800,
Yeah.
but then there's parts. So
Yeah.
whatever the total is, I don't know if there's, where's the total?
I asked him to send it to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know, because Kathy told me that he was going to, but they didn't get here in time to be able to
No,
deal
that's
with them
fine.
tonight.
It's fine.
So I'll send those around for the next meeting, and then we might have more. But again, document, so that at some
Something else.
point, if we get to,
It is interesting because it's only at Johnson
Yeah.
and it was a different vendor.
Yeah.
It's funny because Rockwell
Initially
was-
had the problems.
Rockwell was the problem child for
Yeah.
the whole project, and Johnson went smooth.
Yeah.
Really, overall.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
yeah,
So I'll find out what the vendor was that installed it. It might have been Action Air.
I think
Yeah.
it was.
Who are the two vendors? Because I'm trying to think.
And one of the bidders for the HVAC project that we didn't select. What was the third one?
Oh,
Allstate.
Yeah,
Allstate.
Yeah.
yes. I believe the second one was Allstate.
I'm thinking Action Air was at Rockwell.
Yeah, you might be right, Dave. So it might have been Allstate that was at,
Because
So Ferguson was at Rockwell, no?
no, that was the electrician.
I was an electrician.
Yeah. Well, I can
that's another.
look at some of
That's-
there.
Don't
We
start
don't want to
that.
go there.
Don't start that.
all right.
I mean, I can look at old emails and find something.
Oh,
Ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, not tonight, but yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, so that's Johnson and Rockwell, which we don't have any invoices or anything because those didn't come out quick enough, but next meeting we will. You'll keep us posted on,
yes.
so,
Maybe what I'll do is I'll call Anthony Rizzo, talk to him,
Mhm.
and then follow up with a letter
yeah. And I
so
will,
that it's documented.
yeah, definitely want it documented. And that's, obviously you CC your letter to Dan, Melanie, whoever
Yeah,
else
yeah.
you think it ought to go
The
to.
committee.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's schools and HVAC, high school HVAC.
Yep.
Did,
I spoke to Dan, and so a couple of updates on and I know you're going over the budget tonight, but so the Board of Selectmen approved the project and approved the same mechanical contractor that you guys approved. There was a discussion about, because the grant application itself only covers the base and alternate one. So Melanie is in the process of working on a contract with is it Save More?
Say, well,
Save More.
Mhm.
For those two pieces. But after reviewing the budget, and once we have the bids for the commissioning agent, what they were hoping to do is we can still revise the grant and include alternate two. So Dan was going to talk to her about trying to structure the contract itself, that if we did have the money to do alternate two with a revision to the grant, which shouldn't be a big deal, that the contract would allow for them to do that work too. So I know Melanie is working on the contract now. I also know that Jen, she's a family wedding this week, but she worked and submitted to Sam in purchasing and Melanie some language for the commissioning agent to include in the bid. So I know that they're also actively working on the bid process for the commissioning agent. And I anticipate that probably by early next week, they'll be able to send it to the committee to look at for that next step. But I know that Mike has you guys have a budget number for it, correct? The commissioning agent?
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
it's at the bottom there.
Yeah. So,
I just put the budget, so, Geraldine had asked me, should we use that same budgeting format we were using for the range? I'm trying to figure out how to make this bigger, which I didn't send around to everybody because I forgot. Trying
Oh,
to,
it was sent to Jack and IT. I think he posted it.
oh, you have, it? Okay. All right, so he did send, oh, yes,
I saw
Karen,
that, a copy.
yeah, she sent it around, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm remembering that now. So, so we're using that same format, since there aren't lots and lots of vendors they have to track.
right.
So, the schools, we had a sort of a different format because there were a lot of vendors to have to track a lot of expenses. So it looks like, as Dr. Carter says, we should be able to do alternate two, but where we are with the commissioning is Jen, I sent Jen the some of the ones that we used before, so she for schools, and she was working on that, and I think sent it to Melanie. Yeah, she sent it to Melanie
And Sam.
to review it, and Sam to review it.
Yeah.
So that we can then get it out and get some responses.
Mike, did she
So-
send it to you too?
Nope, no, I didn't get that.
All right, I'll make sure, she's away till the end of the week, but I'll make sure that she gets that to you too. So you
Okay,
can look at it
thank you.
and give input.
So.
And
you're-
Melanie, so is it possible, well, you guys aren't sure if you're gonna go with two yet, I guess. I guess she's gonna structure it where it could be or whatever, but I was wondering if we can get Save More like a letter of intent, just to get them started on submittals or something, if that's possible.
We did talk about that, we did talk about the selectmen meeting, and I don't, Melanie and Dan were kind of going back and forth with that, Mike. And so I don't know where we are with that, but I can follow up. I
Yeah,
agree.
that'd be great. I want to save as much time as I can, and that's all.
They were having a hearty discussion about the difference of a letter of intent versus like actually, Melanie was more about, we have to have a contract.
Well, but in construction, letter of intent is standard.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like everybody does it.
Yeah.
So,
And we have a history with them. So I will follow up on that.
okay. So why am I have this turned off? With number, because alternate two was not in the grant submittal, you think you can, or you should be able to update
I
if there's
do.
money to be used. Okay, then we should be able to get reimbursed.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, that's good. Okay,
Anything else?
that's probably it
That's
with
probably
that.
it.
Somebody needs to be muted up there. Because I am, and I'm we're getting feedback. And they may be hearing it worse than, yeah, okay, thank you. I think that's it, because we have to get that RFP out, and that means having it reviewed by Melanie. The letter of intent, I think, would be a great idea. If you could,
Yeah.
maybe email and
I think they're
include
both
some of
downstairs.
us.
So they have a lot
Yeah. And then
charter commissioners.
I think that's it for this for now.
Okay.
But I think Mike is right. We want to get, if we have to order equipment, it's gonna
There's a
take a
lead
while.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
Although I hear it's better.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better. I think my main concern is the abatement part and just, you
Yeah.
know, having the meetings, getting the administration part, and getting that stuff done. And then, you know, before Turkey Day, really have a really good schedule, you know, to review with everybody and get going as fast as we can.
Yeah, so they can
All
go
right.
in and do some abatement.
Mike, I'll take a walk downstairs right now. I'll see if I can catch them.
All right, thank you, Dr. Carter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carver.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor.
All right, so that's it for HVAC. Let me get rid of this. Now that I've done it maybe twice, I can remember how to do it. Here we are. And that. Stop. Okay, so I think that's it for the three things that STV deals with. We'll talk about the municipal center renovations. Michael, you can stick around if you want, but you don't have to. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So, sort of quick update on the municipal center renovations. I'll just go back. Rachel, Dan, and I met with Peter Eckert over at Architects Guild to come up with some ideas of a different direction to go in than what we were originally looking at, creating some different spaces, basically, in that area down. Locker rooms, etc., locker rooms and more, which I like the ideas that Rachel came up with. So we had a proposal from Architects Guild. Melanie has been back and forth with Architects Guild, mostly about insurance. And it's basically because they do more residential work. Their insurance liability, whatever they have set up or is different than what we need. So I just saw Dan downstairs. He was on his way to charter revision. And so we're most likely going to have to put out an RFP for an architect to do the work because Architects Guild doesn't need to have the level of insurance that another company would probably have as far as it's all about liability. So Dan and I are going to meet with Peter Eckert, chat with him about that. And also we want to part in good standings with them, but if that's what's going to happen.
No, it's not. It's not.
You don't think so?
No. He has put a lot of work into this project over the past 6 years. And now.
Can you just get a rider? Can you get
That's it.
just for this? I mean, I used to, just for this project.
That's what I
Would we approve that or no? Would we allow that for him to just get?
That's
separate
the town,
coverage.
I think.
That's, the insurance requires a minimum amount of town coverage. And again, normally it's larger contractors or he's like Nancy, he does small little commercial jobs, residential, things like that. And
But I think that's,
Yeah,
I
I don't
think
know.
that's absolutely worthwhile to ask them to see if we could price it and just. tell
Yeah,
us
we
the-
could.
I know that, I've done that in the past where on
Correct.
really large projects, we didn't meet the insurance, so we just go and you get documentations as if you have that insurance. But for the insurance company, you're limited to that project, this building, this address, that's all that it'll cover. So, I don't know, it's something,
it's worth looking.
if we need to,
I'd hate to see Peter get pushed off. I really
No,
would.
we're not pushing anybody. My understanding is, and I'm gonna have to go back and find. I talked to Dan, he was saying about having to put out an RFP, but Melanie was the one that was saying as she was going back and forth with them about the whole insurance situation. that they decided not to continue.
You know, this whole process being dragged out longer is just gonna raise the price of the project higher and higher and higher. I know, but it's only because so we met with Peter, how long was that, Roy? About 4 months ago, 5 months ago? And things ain't getting cheaper.
Well, the thing is that he has the project basically done.
He doesn't, he doesn't. He doesn't have,
You're right.
he doesn't have construction documents,
Right.
which is what we need.
I realize that. But those are pretty much boilerplate.
Construction documents?
There's a lot of the stuff that when they have, when they do this stuff.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
Pretty
but-
much, in my mind, it's pretty much boilerplate. They do it all the time.
So to me, it sounded, this email sounded not, it sounded friendly. It sounded, this is where we are. That was okay. I mean, he wants to get the work Peter sent to us and to you, the separate meeting you had. He wants to get the work done for the town. If we need to have certain things in place
Yeah.
for,
That's what the town needs. That's what
Yes.
the town needs.
right,
Does the town lose out if we go to an RFP? Like I said, I don't know what's going on as far as this project's length or whatever's been happening. But do we lose out with the work that he's put in and anything moving forward? Does that all repeat and extend the timelines on everything and push everything out further? By going to another, like, is it worthwhile for us
Hmm.
to ask him, say,
Mhm.
listen, it's easier for everybody if you can document insurance this way? Does that make
And,
everybody's
we
world
can
easier?
check that,
and
yes.
the other thing, we might ask him if he can work with another architect that has the requirements and,
That's true.
and group.
He could be a
group it
sub
together.
or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
True, because architects do that a lot. Yeah, I worked on,
And I'd like to
Mostly-
try to salvage what we have. I think, like. say,
well, we can ask, I mean, I had said
I
to
think that's what
Dan,
we want to convey to Peter is, hey, how do we salvage this?
that's,
I'm sure.
that's why I want to have a meeting with him, with him and Dan and me. And see where we can,
See
how
how
can we
this
do
is,
this?
yeah, because there's a lot of work that's been done.
right. So, so Dan, like I said, it's on Dan,
I hate to
on his
have
way
a
to the
certain-
charter revision.
I would-
But if we shouldn't
It
have
was
to
back
start
years.
from scratch if we can. We have paid for documents
Right.
that we have and somebody else can then.
Yeah, maybe it's
The
time.
problem is, no one's gonna. no one
If
takes
you're gonna do that,
word
you go
for
to
it.
a
They're
design
gonna-
build concept.
Yeah, very few companies are gonna take somebody
Yeah.
else's stuff. They're not, because they don't want to be on the hook. But if he made his,
No, but they could use it as a,
Yeah, but
if there's,
they'll still come out, check
Yeah.
things, measure all that, but they can still look at, what's in place
I don't
and
know.
use it.
I'd like to look at it, if we can
Yeah.
salvage it somehow.
We amicably agreed to terminate contract negotiations. If there are questions in connection with the work done by Architects Guild by another party, they would cooperate. So we'll see where we can go from here.
Yeah, if there's any, yep.
Again, maybe he knows another architect with a bigger firm that was.
Well, that's what David was
Yeah.
saying, so, yeah.
He may have a, for that type of work, you don't know.
All right, so, that's it, I think. I will check into that. Hopefully have more, and Dan was supposed to talk to Rachel, I gotta find out where Rachel is with that, so. You Good,
Nothing else, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
all in favor? Aye. Good night, thank you.
Right, David?
Good night, everybody.
All right,
Good night, sweetheart. Good night. No, not for that.
an hour?
I know it, we're getting better.